The fitness industry is lying to you. The exercise praised for keeping you young is secretly destroying your joints from the inside out. Watch until the very end to discover a guarded neurological secret, an invisible shield, that will permanently bulletproof your aging body and save your independence. It does not happen with a dramatic crash, nor does it announce itself with a sudden, deafening alarm. The true theft of your youth happens in absolute, terrifying silence. It is that split second of chilling hesitation at the bottom of a staircase, where your mind makes a desperate, frantic calculation. Will my knees hold, or will this be the day my body finally betrays me? It is the quiet, gut-wrenching moment a grandchild runs toward you with open arms, and instead of dropping to the floor in pure joy, you freeze. A sharp, invisible knife of pain warns you to stay standing. In that fleeting, heartbreaking pause, the joy of the embrace is entirely eclipsed by a dark, suffocating terror. It is the unspoken fear that your world is rapidly shrinking, that your physical vessel is breaking down, and that the ultimate humiliation, losing your independence and becoming a burden to the ones you love, is no longer just a nightmare, but an approaching reality. Senior Fine warmly welcomes you to a space where we do not just talk about aging. We confront its deepest, darkest truths together. If this silent struggle resonates with you, if you are tired of feeling misunderstood by your own body, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Your support is the very heartbeat that gives us the motivation to continue uncovering these vital, life-changing truths for you in the videos to come. I have watched this tragic story unfold time and time again. I have seen vibrant, fiercely independent souls slowly retreat into the shadows of their living rooms, surrendering the activities that once set their hearts on fire. This retreat is not because their spirits have withered, but because their pain has been profoundly misunderstood by a world obsessed with youth. The true agony of growing older is not merely the throbbing in your joints. It is the deep, psychological sorrow of measuring your life step by careful step, chair by chair. It is the quiet indignity of needing a hand to push yourself up from a dining table, swallowing your pride while society looks the other way. For decades, we have been force-fed a toxic, aggressive lie. The modern fitness industry, dominated by 20-something trainers who have never felt the ache of a 50-year-old knee, screams a dangerous myth into our ears. They arrogantly preach that age is just an excuse. They demand that mature bodies endure the same grueling, high-impact punishments, the heavy squats, and the explosive jumps designed for invincible athletes, completely blind to the beautiful, fragile complexity of a seasoned body. Kaut choyen tan coats nade tuok dot su tu tin kua ban. Thay the no bang nung thuong tik bai tham hoak su cam chu hon tone. But I refuse to let you accept this injustice. A body that has navigated 5, 6, or 7 decades of life is not a broken machine waiting to be discarded. It is a masterpiece of survival that requires a totally different, deeply intelligent kind of tuning. It demands movement rooted in profound healing, not senseless punishment. As we walk through this truth together today, I make you a deeply personal promise. By the time we reach the end of our journey, I will reveal a closely guarded secret, a singular, invisible shield of movement. It is a gentle yet incredibly powerful technique, strictly mandated by rehabilitation experts for their own aging parents, designed to completely bulletproof your body against the most devastating fear of all: the sudden, life-altering fall. But to truly unlock the power of this shield, we must first tear down the most celebrated, destructive enemy your knees have ever faced. To unmask this enemy, we must first look at the very exercise that has been universally idolized as the ultimate test of strength. It is quietly tearing your joints apart from the inside out. For decades, the traditional, heavily loaded squat has been heralded as the undisputed king of all exercises, a mandatory movement for anyone wanting to maintain their lower body strength. But when this aggressive philosophy is applied to a body that has lived through 50, 60, or 70 years of walking, working, and surviving, it transforms from a tool of empowerment into an instrument of profound destruction. The fitness industry pushes a reckless narrative that modifying your workout is a sign of weakness. They tell you to push through the pain, to drop your hips below your knees, and to bear the weight of heavy iron on your shoulders to prove your vitality. This is not just a biological error, it is a heartbreaking psychological betrayal. I have sat with men and women who have followed this advice to the letter, driven by a desperate, beautiful desire to remain capable and strong. They push through the agonizing, bone-on-bone grinding in their knees, mistaking the sharp, electrical shocks of joint degradation for the necessary ache of muscle growth. The tragedy of the human knee is that the cartilage, the smooth, vital cushion that protects your bones, does not contain pain receptors. By the time you feel that deep, unrelenting ache radiating through your kneecap, the damage has already been done. The cushion has worn away, leaving behind a raw, inflamed joint that is forced to carry a load it was never designed to bear at this stage of life. When you force a seasoned body into these deep, high-compression movements, you are essentially asking frayed, stiffened tendons to behave like fresh, elastic rubber bands. The result is inevitably a catastrophic flare-up that forces you back into the very sedentary lifestyle you were fighting so hard to avoid. You wake up the next morning unable to walk down your own hallway without wincing, overcome by a crushing sense of defeat. You begin to believe the darkest lie of all, that your body is simply too old, too broken, and that the only remaining option is to surrender. But the failure does not lie within your muscles or your age. The failure belongs entirely to a dogmatic fitness culture that refuses to respect the intricate, shifting architecture of the aging human body. You have been fighting the right battle with entirely the wrong weapons, sacrificing your precious mobility at the altar of an exercise that was never meant for the delicate, beautiful complexity of your current biological reality. Once we abandon this damaging, forceful approach, we are finally ready to listen to the whispers of our own biology, understanding what our bodies actually crave as the years pass. Aging is not a disease, nor is it a sudden curse that descends upon us to steal our joy. It is a profound, natural transition, a shifting of the biological landscape that requires a completely different map to navigate. When we are young, our joints are constantly bathed in an abundance of synovial fluid, a thick, slippery lubricant that allows our bones to glide past one another effortlessly. Our muscles respond to brute force with rapid, resilient growth, and our ligaments possess a boundless, forgiving elasticity. But as we cross the threshold of midlife, a silent, invisible drought occurs within our physical vessel. The production of that precious lubricating fluid slows down to a mere trickle. The rich, supportive collagen that weaves our tendons together begins to dry and stiffen, turning what were once supple shock absorbers into rigid, easily frayed ropes. Simultaneously, a quiet thief known as sarcopenia begins to slowly drain away our muscle mass, ounce by ounce, year by year. This is the physiological reality that makes the morning stiffness last a little longer, that makes the cold weather ache deep within your bones, and that makes the ground feel punishingly hard beneath your feet. The profound tragedy is that nobody teaches us how to mourn the body we once had, nor do they teach us how to embrace the one we have now. Instead, society demands that we treat our older bodies exactly like our younger ones, just with a little less weight and a lot more frustration. But fighting this biological shift with the same aggressive mentality of our youth is like trying to mold a fragile glass sculpture with a sledgehammer. It creates fractures where there should be strength. The aging body does not need to be broken down in order to be built back up. It is already bearing the microscopic scars of a life fully lived. It requires an entirely new language of physical interaction. It demands a dialogue based on deep respect, preservation, and a profound understanding of how to generate strength without relying on joint compression. We must shift our perspective from trying to conquer our physical form to nurturing it, recognizing that true vitality in our later years is not measured by how much weight we can lift, but by how much pain-free freedom we can reclaim in our everyday lives. Learning this new biological language shifts our entire perspective, transforming exercise from a battlefield of punishment into a sanctuary of deep, restorative healing. If the traditional squat and heavy, joint-crushing movements are the poison, then the antidote is a beautiful, highly controlled discipline of movement that generates intense muscular strength without ever grinding the skeletal structure. This is the realm of pure, intentional tension, a method where the muscles are awakened and fortified while the joints remain entirely protected in safe, neutral positions. It is a concept that feels almost entirely foreign to a mind conditioned by the no pain, no gain mentality, yet it is the very secret that allows the most resilient elders to walk with effortless, pain-free grace. Imagine, for a moment, being able to create a deep, warming fire within your leg muscles, sending rich, oxygenated blood into the tissues to heal and strengthen them, all without bending your knee past the point of absolute comfort. By utilizing static holds, deliberate muscle contractions, and extremely slow, mindful weight transfers, we bypass the vulnerable cartilage entirely. We start to communicate directly with the muscle fibers. This gentle, intelligent tension signals the body to rebuild its muscular armor. It begins to weave a tight, supportive net of strength around your hips, your knees, and your lower back, acting as a natural, internal brace that absorbs the shock of gravity so your fragile joints no longer have to. The emotional relief of discovering this kind of movement is nothing short of a profound awakening. I have witnessed the tears in the eyes of men and women who, for the first time in a decade, realized they could exert themselves, break a sweat, and feel undeniably strong without waking up the next day in crippling agony. It restores a dignity that was stolen by chronic pain. You suddenly realize that you do not need to perform explosive, breathless routines to hold back the hands of time. True, enduring strength in your later decades is found in stillness, in control, and in the quiet mastery of your own body weight. It is the ability to rise from a chair smoothly, to reach down and pick up a grandchild without a second thought, and to walk through a grocery store without desperately scanning the aisles for a place to rest. This restorative movement heals not just the physical tissue, but the deep psychological wounds of aging, allowing you to trust your body once again. This mastery of controlled, deliberate movement brings us to the very promise I made at the beginning of our journey, the ultimate defense against the darkest fear of aging. Beneath the worries of aching knees and stiff backs lies a much more terrifying, life-altering shadow: the fear of the fall. A single, unexpected loss of balance on a wet floor or a misjudged step on a curb can instantly fracture a hip, shatter an arm, and permanently strip away the independence you have spent a lifetime building. It is a terrifying fragility that forces so many vibrant people to stop traveling, stop walking in nature, and slowly confine their existence to the safe, predictable corners of their homes. But there is a closely guarded technique, a singular, invisible shield of movement utilized quietly by the world's top neurological rehabilitation experts to protect their own aging loved ones. This shield has nothing to do with building bigger leg muscles or doing endless repetitions on a gym machine. It is about fundamentally rewiring the dormant connection between your brain and the thousands of tiny, neglected nerve endings in your feet, ankles, and deep core. As we age, if we do not actively train our nervous system, the signals between our brain and our feet begin to lag. When you slip, your body simply does not react fast enough to catch you. The technique is a practice of precise, micro-stabilization. By standing in specific, subtly challenging stances and slowly shifting your center of gravity mere inches at a time while focusing deeply on the pressure points beneath your toes and heels, you force your nervous system to wake up. You are actively training your brain to fire the deep stabilizing muscles of your hips and core in a fraction of a second. This gentle, almost entirely invisible practice creates an automatic, lightning-fast reflex mechanism. It weaves an impenetrable safety net through your nervous system so that if you ever do trip, your body instinctively rights itself before you even consciously realize what has happened. It turns your feet back into intelligent sensors, rather than just numb blocks of bone striking the pavement. Equipping yourself with this invisible shield is the ultimate act of rebellion against the decay of aging. It completely eradicates the suffocating anxiety that dictates where you can go and what you can do. When you no longer fear the ground, the entire world opens up to you once again. You can walk on uneven cobblestone streets, you can hike on dirt trails, and you can move through a crowded room with the confident, upright posture of someone who is fully in command of their physical destiny. Your body is not a prison waiting to lock you inside. With the right respect, the right knowledge, and the courage to abandon the lies of the past, your physical vessel can become a monument of resilience. You have earned the right to enjoy the autumn of your life with absolute dignity, boundless freedom, and a heart unburdened by the fear of falling. True vitality in our later years is not found in forcing an aging body to conform to the relentless, high-impact dogma of traditional fitness. For decades, we have been sold the dangerous lie that pushing through joint pain and performing heavy, compressive movements like deep squats is the only way to maintain strength. However, as our biology naturally shifts, with decreasing synovial fluid, stiffening tendons, and gradual muscle loss, this aggressive approach only accelerates degradation and robs us of our daily mobility. The key to a vibrant, pain-free life lies in fundamentally changing our physical language from one of conquest to one of preservation and deep respect. By embracing deliberate, controlled muscle tension and microstabilization techniques, we can bypass vulnerable cartilage and directly fortify our muscles and nervous system. This mindful approach builds an internal armor that absorbs the shock of gravity and rapidly rewires the brain-to-foot connection, creating an invisible shield against the devastating fear of falling. Ultimately, aging is not a process of inevitable decay, but a profound transition that demands an entirely new blueprint for physical health. When we stop fighting our biological reality and instead nurture it with intelligent, restorative movement, we successfully reclaim our independence, our dignity, and our absolute freedom to experience life without boundaries. Profound lesson learned. The most powerful takeaway is that fighting the natural evolution of your physical body with the aggressive methods of your youth is a recipe for physical destruction and psychological defeat. True strength is not measured by the heavy weight on a barbell, but by the longevity of your independence and your ability to move through life pain-free. Respecting the current season of your body requires unlearning the toxic, no pain, no gain mentality and replacing it with biological empathy. How to apply this to your life today? Begin by immediately auditing your current exercise routine. If a movement causes sharp joint pain or leaves you waking up in agony, stop doing it. Replace heavy, compressive exercises with isometric holds, such as shallow, comfortable static wall sits, and slow, intentional muscle contractions that build tension without grinding your joints. Furthermore, dedicate just 5 minutes each morning to microstabilization. Stand barefoot, slightly shift your center of gravity inch by inch, and focus intensely on the pressure points beneath your toes and heels to wake up your nervous system and rebuild your natural balance reflex. Shift your focus to movements that leave you feeling energized, secure, and capable. Question for the community: have you ever experienced lingering joint pain from pushing yourself too hard with traditional exercises? And what gentle daily movement makes you feel your best today? Please take a moment to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments section below. Your perspective is incredibly valuable, and sharing it helps our entire community learn, adapt, and grow together. If you found this content helpful, please subscribe to the channel to support our work and stay tuned for more empowering health and wellness insights.